On a cold night in October 1999, a young woman named Dorothy Gibson was driving along Bray Road near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, when she felt her right tire hit something heavy in the road. She stopped and stepped out to investigate, and that's when she saw it. A massive, fur-covered creature, over 6 feet tall, was charging directly at her on 2 legs. Its eyes reflected yellow in her headlights. She scrambled back into her car and floored the accelerator as the thing threw itself onto her trunk. Claw marks were later found gouged into the metal. This was not the first encounter on this quiet rural road, and it would be far from the last. The story begins years before Dorothy's encounter. In 1989, on a stretch of Bray Road, just outside Elkhorn, in Walworth County, Wisconsin, a bar manager named Lorianne Andrizzi was driving home late one night when she spotted what she initially thought was a person hunched over on the roadside. As her headlights swept across the figure, she realized it was covered in grayish-brown fur, had a long snout like a wolf, and was crouched on its haunches holding something with its hands with claws. It turned and looked directly at her with piercing, intelligent eyes. She later described the creature as having the body of a large, muscular man, but the head of a wolf. That same year, a dairy farmer named Scott Bray reported finding large, strange tracks and mutilated animals on his property, the very property that gave the road its name. The encounters might have remained local folklore if not for one determined journalist. In December 1991, Linda Godfrey, a reporter and illustrator for The Week, a small newspaper in Walworth County, received a tip from a county animal control officer about strange sightings near Bray Road. Godfrey was initially skeptical. She expected to write a light-hearted holiday filler piece. But as she began interviewing witnesses, the consistency and sincerity of their accounts shook her. Multiple people who didn't know each other described the same creature: bipedal, wolf-like, between 5 and 7 feet tall, with broad shoulders and a distinct musty odor. Her article, published on December 29, 1991, ignited a media firestorm. The Beast of Bray Road was now national news. After Godfrey's article went viral, witnesses who had been too afraid to speak came forward in droves. A 12-year-old girl reported that in 1989 she had been walking near Bray Road when a large creature burst from the underbrush on all fours, then rose to stand upright on 2 legs before disappearing into the trees. A local mail carrier confided that he'd seen the beast cross the road in broad daylight in 1990. Most chillingly, a Walworth County animal control officer named John Fredrickson privately confirmed to Godfrey that he had received multiple reports of an unidentifiable large animal in the Bray Road corridor throughout the late 1980s, reports he had been told by superiors to quietly file away. The pattern was unmistakable. Something was out there, and someone wanted it kept quiet. To understand what witnesses were encountering, you have to understand the land itself. Walworth County sits in southeastern Wisconsin, a region dotted with ancient Native American effigy mounds, earthen structures built over 1,000 years ago by the Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi peoples, often in the shapes of animals, including wolves and water spirits. Bray Road runs through terrain that borders the Kettle Moraine State Forest and is surrounded by marshland, old-growth forest, and glacial formations. Researchers like Linda Godfrey discovered that many sighting locations clustered around or near these ancient mound sites. The Ho-Chunk people have long spoken of shape-shifting spirits tied to specific sacred landscapes. Could the Beast of Bray Road be connected to something far older than anyone imagined? Something the original inhabitants of this land always knew was there? Throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s, sightings continued to escalate, and they weren't limited to Bray Road anymore. In 1992, a family in rural Jefferson County, just north of Walworth, reported a massive wolf-headed creature standing upright in their cornfield, watching their house. In 1999, multiple drivers along Highway 11 near Elkhorn reported a large dark figure running alongside their vehicles at speeds exceeding 35 miles per hour on 2 legs. By 2003, Linda Godfrey had compiled enough material to publish her landmark book, The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf. In it, she documented over 30 distinct encounters spanning 14 years. The creature had earned a name in cryptozoology circles, the Wisconsin dogman, and Elkhorn had become ground zero for something no one could explain. Skeptics had their theories, of course. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources suggested witnesses were simply seeing unusually large wolves or bears suffering from mange, which can give animals a disturbing, almost humanoid appearance. Others pointed to mass hysteria. Once the newspaper story broke, they argued people's imaginations filled in the details. But these explanations crumbled under scrutiny. Wisconsin had no wild wolf population in Walworth County in 1989. The nearest wolf packs were over 200 miles north. Black bears in the region were exceedingly rare, and the witnesses included sober, credible adults, a nurse, a highway worker, a retired police officer, who described the creature independently, years apart, with near-identical details. Most tellingly, several witnesses reported seeing the creature before Godfrey's article was ever published. They had no media narrative to influence them. The investigation took a darker turn when researchers began connecting the Beast of Bray Road to a much wider phenomenon. Across Michigan, reports of a nearly identical creature, the Michigan dogman, had been documented since 1887, when two lumberjacks in Wexford County claimed a bipedal wolf-like creature chased them through the forest. In 1987, exactly 100 years later, a radio DJ named Steve Cook recorded a novelty song called The Legend about the Michigan dogman, only to be flooded with hundreds of genuine sighting reports from terrified listeners. The sightings formed a geographic corridor stretching from northern Michigan down through Wisconsin and into northern Illinois. Something was moving through the Great Lakes region, and it had been doing so for over a century. The question was, what kind of creature could evade detection for that long? In 2006, an encounter occurred that even the most hardened skeptics struggled to dismiss. A highway maintenance worker, who chose to remain anonymous but was verified by Linda Godfrey, was clearing debris along a stretch of road near Elkhorn at approximately 2 a.m. His truck's high beams illuminated a massive creature crouched over a road-killed deer. The creature was covered in dark brown fur and appeared to be feeding. When the headlights hit it, it rose to its full height. The worker estimated nearly 7 feet and turned to face him. He described its eyes as reflecting a deep amber color, its mouth pulled back to reveal long canine teeth, and its posture unmistakably upright, like a man. It then dropped to all fours and bounded into the adjacent field with terrifying speed. The worker filed an internal report. That report was never made public by the county. Perhaps the most disturbing thread in this investigation involves the occult history of the region. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Walworth County was the site of multiple reports of animal mutilations. Livestock found drained of blood or with organs surgically removed, with no tracks or evidence of predator activity. Local law enforcement attributed these to coyotes or pranksters, but the precision of the wounds told a different story. Simultaneously, reports emerged of strange rituals being conducted in the wooded areas surrounding Bray Road. Pentagrams carved into trees, burnt animal remains arranged in circles, and robed figures spotted in the forest at night. Researcher and author Joseph Citro, who studied similar phenomena across the Midwest, noted that regions with concentrated paranormal activity often had histories of occult practice. Were these rituals summoning something, or feeding something that was already there? Here is what no official source wants to acknowledge. In 2009, the USDA's Wildlife Services Division quietly deployed thermal imaging equipment in Walworth County for what was officially described as a coyote management survey. Local residents reported seeing unmarked vehicles with roof-mounted equipment patrolling the Bray Road area for several weeks between September and November of that year. Freedom of Information requests filed by independent researcher Todd Roll revealed that the survey results were classified under an agricultural exemption, meaning the public would never see what those thermal cameras recorded. When pressed, the USDA stated only that the survey was routine, but no similar survey had been conducted in the county before or since. If there was nothing unusual in those Wisconsin woods, why did the federal government show up with military-grade thermal imaging? And why won't they release what they found? More than 3 decades after the first documented encounters, the Beast of Bray Road remains one of America's most persistent and unexplained mysteries. As of 2023, Linda Godfrey has cataloged over 150 sighting reports from the greater Walworth County area alone. Physical evidence, including plaster casts of enormous canine-like footprints measuring 7 inches long, photographs of claw marks on trees at heights of over 6 feet, and samples of coarse, unidentified animal hair, has never been formally analyzed by any university or government laboratory. No body has ever been recovered. No definitive photograph exists. Yet the witnesses keep coming. Farmers, teachers, police officers, teenagers, all describing the same impossible thing. What is the Beast of Bray Road? Is it an undiscovered species hiding in the glacial forests of Wisconsin? A remnant of something ancient that the Ho-Chunk people always warned us about? Or is it something else entirely, something we don't yet have the language to describe? For over 30 years, something has haunted the back roads of rural Wisconsin, and no authority, no scientist, no skeptic has ever provided a definitive answer. If this investigation opened your eyes to what might really be out there, hit that like button and help others find the truth. Subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an investigation, because the next creature we uncover might be closer to your hometown than you think.